Glory holes, take 3.
Wink to the young girl's eye.
Hey everyone, Mr. Devil here, Kenny Danico, 3-time Stanley Cup champion of the New Jersey Devils, and you're listening to the Uncle Puckers New Jersey Devils podcast with Chris, Dan, Bobby, and Tony, the Uncle Puckers. Let's go Devils!
Let's go Devils! It was probably the biggest game of the year for the boys last night at MetLife Stadium against the Flyers. And what a game. We're the Uncle Puckers. Dan, Tony, I'm Chris. Bobby will be joining us in a few minutes as he's making his way back to his home in Pennsylvania. But, guys, like, there's so much to talk about with this game. Everything from the stadium, the ambiance, the crowd, the I've never been more proud to say I was from New Jersey than I was last night. And that's the
fucking
fact.
jerseys looked awesome last night. Though.
They did.
Dude, I want that to be their whole uniform.
I'll tell you what, I was
twice.
not sold on
They're
I was
gonna
not sold on those jerseys at first. But when you see the whole uniform with the socks and everything, it looked great on the ice. I'm like, okay, I'm a fan of that red now, and I love the whole design. It was awesome.
Did you guys see the
black
white
helmet.
ones?
Mm-hmm.
What's that?
Did you guys see the white ones they had on last night? I think it was the night before they were wearing the white ones. It was basically like the same design exactly, but just the white jerseys with the logo. It looked pretty cool too, but the red ones they wore last night definitely looked better. I think they're wearing those again in March.
The
that's
helmet
great.
with the NJ on them.
Awesome.
The whole they looked awesome.
That was good.
Definitely. They looked like a bunch of goddamn killers last night, and it was, I mean, just an amazing. From, the Jonas Brothers, who I'm not a fan of, but okay, they're from Jersey. Gaslight Anthem playing the live goal song. That was awesome.
Yep.
Just 70,000 people showing up, and most of them being fucking Devil
Bobby
fans.
Chin
That
Nuts.
was awesome.
Well, it's Bobby
What's
Woolnuts.
up, Bobby Chin Nuts? What's up, Chin Nuts?
What up there, boys?
So, Bobby, do you have all right? So this that was probably the cringiest part of yesterday.
It was, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was making the joke when I saw the Flyers get off of the bus, all dressed like Rocky, and I was texting you guys like, these people do realize that Rocky Balboa is not a real person, right? Like he is a fictitious character, basically.
Just finding out. Tony's just finding out.
News travels slow over there.
It's the equivalent of the Devils all getting off the bus dressed as Harry Potter. But no, they took the douche level up to 11 and came out all dressed like Sopranos, which...
Yeah. The only thing that would have been worse
why?
is if they did like a Jersey Shore thing. That would have been worse. But other than that,
Nico Hischier said there were they had two things that
must have been the other idea.
What was the other one?
I think it was Jersey Shore cast. Like the funny thing was if one of them's dressed like one of the Snooki or whatever. Now that might have been a moment, but I'm just glad
they
didn't
all
do
dressed
that.
off like Snooki Monster. And that would have been great if they all got off the bus as Snooki Monster.
Yep.
And is DeVito like this guy was like the mascot of the night, Mr. TD, right? I mean, he was. Yeah. I mean, I got to admit that when Bashan did score that goal and did
that was pretty cool.
It was fucking cool.
Yep.
It was, and then it was all Jersey, and it was awesome because we are the biggest laughing stock butt of every freaking joke when it comes to this state. But man, they were represented great, and then to boot, we beat the crap out of the Philadelphia Flyers, which was awesome. So, hottest takes of that game. I just want to get you guys' opinion. Tone, what is your hottest take of this stadium?
Can I have a minute here too? Because I have a couple.
Bobby, what is your hottest take? I have a couple too. What's your hottest take?
So, thinking about this for a while, and I did want to originally, I was kind of encompassing more of just this game. I was looking at kind of the last set of games. So there's a particular player who came in mind that I think really deserves a lot of credit. But specific to this game, I don't see how your hottest take is not Nico Hischier. I mean, that's just bringing it from the start, like literally from 32 seconds. So
it's funny because my hottest take was the first one was just that I know that Jack Hughes is the superstar and Jack Hughes is the NHL's poster boy. This is Nico Hischier's team. Hands down, this is his team, and it was awesome to see yesterday. Yes, Tony, you have a question in the back.
I don't have a question, but I have. That's why when I said a minute, I mean I wanted to have a minute of time to speak really fast because there's
you can get
from this shit, man.
58 seconds.
I was excited last
Not a
night.
minute.
I wanted to message Chris. Chris is
Wait,
like,
hold on.
I had to wait to message.
The clock starts now. We're starting the clock.
First
58
of all,
seconds.
I have been blasted. I'm sure there's Devil fans who think I'm an idiot all season because I have said there's 3 people that need respect on this team. Oh yeah, listen there.
Self-aware. I love it.
Chin nuts. No. First of all, Nico Hischier as the captain. That's exactly who should be the captain on this fucking team. Just last night was awesome, and he's just been showing it all year. I know people criticized him last year for being the captain, and I've read a lot of that. Brendan Smith, I heard, I hate to say it, but I heard Messier even say it. He was the backbone of that team last night. That dude was up in everything last night. I don't know if I'm not going to say we wouldn't win that game last night without Brendan Smith. He was a big part of that fucking victory. Another thing, I know, I see it all over the place. I'm going to get shit for this. Lindy Ruff, perfect coach for this team this year. I don't know about beyond this year, but I think the players respect him. I think
really
now that
like where you were going with all this until that last take.
I figured some shit. I figured
58 seconds
I saved that for last. But yeah, man.
Now we go to Dan. I disagree with you on the Lindy Ruff thing, but that's
fine.
You did. Yeah, but Dan, what's your hottest take on this game or takes?
It was definitely a night of Nico's. I mean, he got a record-setting goaltender there. He played a great game. He gave you above average goaltending in that game, that's for sure. And he kept them all alive. Yeah, Nico Hischier, definitely. He stepped into this role big time. You need him to. Like, let's face it, Jack's not really back, right? And we got other players who kind of underperformed, but look what Nico did. He put the whole team on his back. Couldn't agree more with you about Brendan Smith, though. I mean, he was essential. You could see what he brings, we sorely lack in games like this. And it spoke a lot for us, with the win. The defense was maybe a little hectic at times. Compared to other games they've had recently where the defense was like just amazing, spot on. So it wasn't a perfect game, but you couldn't ask for more from this game. It was such a great experience for everyone involved in it. And it was definitely the highlight of literally the last couple seasons. I think it was the most fun game to watch.
Absolutely.
Just being on that stage, outdoor at night. I think the ice looks beautiful there. And it was great to see them perform. Excellent game.
It felt like we had to win that game, right? Just because it's one of those games though with that, we lost 2014 was when we played the Rangers outdoors, and it just felt like you just wanted to beat the Flyers in that game, and you could even see Torch with that smirk on his face. He knew what was going. You just kind of knew the Devils were rolling last night, right from the beginning. Just Miller too. I thought Miller was really impressive last night. He was getting up with some shit, man.
I thought our whole defensive core. I thought Luke Hughes was ridiculous last night. What a game he had. I thought that the team played pretty good. They got, like you said, a little wishy-washy there in the second period. But Flyers are not a bad team. But what was obvious yesterday was that the Flyers are ahead of schedule and the Devils are the better team. And the Devils need to not worry about wild card spots. They need to go take that third spot. Secure yourself in the playoffs. Don't worry about every other Toronto's and Detroit's and Tampa's and the Islanders and the Penguins. And no, just go get the Flyers because they can. And so Nico Daws. All right, we've said all year, right? Like if the answer's in-house, how great would that be? So I ask you guys, is the answer Nico Daws? Like, do you now really go after a goalie? Or now, if you're Tom Fitzgerald, do you stop and say, unless it's a deal that we are getting the better of, I'm not going to make that move? And that's where I sit. I think Nico Daws has been a stud, and he can be exactly what this team needs. What do you guys think? And Dan, we'll start with you. You're the goalie expert.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely a situation where I would not pay a lot for a goaltender this season. And I could say that for positive reasons and for reasons that, Devil fans don't want to hear, which is the team has not been clicking the way they should really all season. And they're only now starting to give us hints that they will. So with that there, you don't really want to go deep to pay a lot for a name goaltender. And then the more positive reasons I'm sticking with that is just what you're saying. Nico Daws has really given you nothing but more reasons to play him in the next game. That's all he's done. He has given us the best numbers we have of goaltending this season, and an albeit smaller sample size. And yes, I almost that's as far as I want to go. I don't want to talk about him. I don't want to jinx the guy because he's just doing great. He's a young guy. No, I would not expect that, when your team's cruising, let's say we were in the hunt for the President's Trophy right now. I think we would all be saying, guys, this is the year. Don't make no mistake. Don't try out a Nico Daws this year. Go go for the big name. This is the year.
Right.
But that's not where we are, right? So I think Nico is the right goalie for this team right now, unless something amazing falls in Fitzgerald's lap, which sometimes does.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think, Bobby?
Yeah, I do agree. It's a small sample size, although extremely positive, right? So you got that to look forward to. And, I'm on record saying the last episode how he was the goalie of the future that I was waiting for. Seems a little ahead of schedule, maybe. But I think the key is what you said, Chris. Now you're not going to have another GM with that comment, hey, they're the one who needs a goalie. Now we can pump the brakes and say, well, no, this is either going to be a legit, even deal, or we're not going to force it through. And maybe that backfires, maybe it doesn't. Only time will tell. As a collective, the way the team's playing and the way that Daws playing, when you add 1 and 1 there, you get a really positive looking 2. So I'm pretty comfortable right now. I'm not saying I wouldn't want, an upgrade in goal if it were the right fit. But for right now, I'm comfortable. I think the team's comfortable. I think this was a galvanizing win. I think we've been slowly seeing all the pieces coming together anyway the last few weeks. A little more forward with a little less back than it was the rest of the season. So I say, like you said, unless it's a good deal, a right deal for us, we don't need to rush it right now.
I agree. What about you, Tone?
Yeah, I would not give away the farm for a goalie right now. Maybe get a defenseman. Don't give up too much for one, but get a solid defenseman in there. Ride Daws. I don't want to get too excited because I was kind of excited with Schmid last year, and but like you said, people are starting to come back now. I saw a stat last night that Hamilton's missed 34 games, used 16 this year. Siegenthaler 16 still missing. Meyer 13, Heischer 11, Palat 10. We had some injuries, but now we're starting to get healthy again. Right. But if we can get I think you can get a defenseman, stick with Daws. If you have Vanacek as your backup, I don't know how serious the injury is with Vanacek. I don't think anybody really does. I think that's the best way to go right now because I don't know if how our run's going to be this year, but I do see the future's bright, and I would hate to see us give up too much for this year. When I think if we keep some of the pieces, get Daws, maybe do you want to get a guy that we're going to have say we get Markstrom, say. Maybe Daws is our guy. Maybe we don't need to get a starter in here. Maybe next year Daws is going to take over this. I mean, right now he is the starter, right? Would you all agree that this guy is the number one on this team?
Over Vanacek, absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. It's over Vanacek. It's got to be Daws. And we haven't had goaltending this consistent from any of the three guys, any of the other two guys that we've been getting from. I hope Vanacek's not hurt long term because I like Daws and Vanacek going in the way that Vanacek was playing up until the injury. And maybe you give, like we said, the bulk of the work to Daws, and Vanacek can fit into that second slot where I think he'd be much more productive. So, yeah, I think right now you maybe concentrate on the defenseman that you want, whether it's a guy like Noah Hannafin or Tanev or there's somebody else out there, which I'm sure that there's going to be tons of guys within the next 3 weeks whose name's going to be brought around. But I just think that Tom Fitzgerald now can put his head down at night with a lot less anxiety, knowing that Nico Daws is kind of given that position stability, which we have not had since last season. And we haven't had really since before the postseason last year because the playoffs were a ton of inconsistencies. Yeah. But Nico Daws could be the guy. He's a great unknown. But, man, he looks like he's been there before, right?
And it's not like he's doing it just on all routine saves. He's had to make some amazing saves to really bail us out. Those games that he really had every right to lose, he's found a way to keep us in him until we came around and won.
Yeah.
I go even that Kings
game, he still looked good.
Yeah. But even last night, I think you take a regular setting with the regular depth perception and all that and lighting, he probably stops another 2 of those goals, to be honest with you. Now, that's probably the same for the Flyer side, too, because it is a different element. But that's how good that guy played last night on the biggest stage next to like a clinching playoff game or a Stanley Cup game, right? I mean, 70,000 people. That's incredible.
Nothing phases him. No. Nothing phases him. He plays and that stability as far as we're not doing, and we talked about it, last show, like we're not giving up those 2 or 3s within a few minutes, Okay, you score a goal and we're going out there and we keep playing our game, and the defensemen have been playing much better. Marino's been playing a ton better. But, a couple of things before we get into the Devil and our predictions and everything for next week. So, Luke Hughes, why is this kid not being talked about for the Calder Trophy? It's this guy has, I think, the 3rd or 4th most points out of all rookies. He's the only defenseman. He's logging 20, 22 minutes a night. He's playing up against other teams' top lines. You look back last week at what he did to McKinnon and what he did last night, what he did these other games, where this kid is becoming a true number one defenseman and maybe have just scratched the surface of what Nick Lucu's potential is. But, like, don't you guys think this guy should be talked about a little bit more?
I feel like I've heard his name thrown around.
I heard it today,
bit,
actually, on one of the shows, yeah.
Did you? Because I haven't heard it.
There was a show on a couple weeks ago where, they went from Bedard to, what's his name, the other forward, and then totally skipped over Luke. But other than that particular show, I feel like I've heard him at least mention where people are like, don't close your eyes on this kid. So he definitely deserves it.
I could give you a reason why.
100%.
I've heard him mention it, but I've even heard, like today I heard, well, even if it's not this year, this guy is gonna grab one of these. There's no doubt in people's minds that his future is so bright. I'm hearing that all over the place in the NHL,
right?
And it's pretty impressive.
But
and
for the Calder,
Chris, I wanted to ask you.
Wait, what's that, Dan? Go ahead.
Do you think there's just to play a little devil's advocate? I think he would be like one front and center for the talk of the Calder Trophy, which he's clearly not yet. It's probably the plus minus in the fact that the Devils' defense as a team, as a unit, has struggled this year.
And I also think it has to do with him being a defenseman.
Yeah, absolutely.
That has a lot to do with it too.
Yeah, absolutely. So, if he's a defenseman and our whole, system is running a little better, not even just his personal play. I mean, the whole system, he probably is front and center of that discussion. So that's worth noting. It's not really all him. Sometimes like McCarr, he's an amazing, when he came on, he's Calder, with no doubt, he's in the front running for that, but he's also was on a team that year, which defensively was more solid than we have been.
And if they do keep this cleaned up throughout the rest of the next 30 games or so, I think, his stock should rise in that conversation.
Oh, yeah.
But,
absolutely.
I think he definitely needs to be up there in that conversation because what he's doing, I just think it's a lot harder than what any other rookie is doing because he's doing it on the back end.
True.
Tone.
Yeah, there was 2 points I wanted to bring up before we move on about last night's game. Did you guys?
We got 2 points last night, Tone.
2 points. Exactly. I don't think I got any points on my thing, and we'll talk about that. But did you guys feel like I felt with Daws? I felt like those last 8 minutes where I would have been worried about giving up those goals. I really thought it was not going to be an issue. Like when I think there was 10 minutes left where the Flyers scored, and I was like, okay, well they're still in striking distance. I wasn't really worried, which was a nice feeling, and Daws made me feel pretty comfortable. Another thing was, I don't know if you guys felt this way, but I felt a couple times we scored, I thought there were some shitty penalties against us. Like it was almost like they wanted to keep the Flyers in it for the big show, because there was like a hooking call that I just didn't think was really legit. There was a couple calls I just thought were kind of weak.
Yeah, I thought the refs got a little. They could have just let him play a little bit more, I thought, But another thing to touch on, so the Los Angeles King game, right? The game we lost, and Jack got into that scrum, and apparently there's a viral clip going out of him yelling in the penalty box that, people pay to see me play, whatever. What do you guys think of that?
You know what? I don't think too many people know the full context of it. Maybe some people have heard. I think the first sentence was, "You're out there trying to hurt people. People are paying to see me play."
Okay, now, look, I didn't have it into context, and I didn't know that's what he said at first.
Yes. That makes it a little bit different of a statement.
The article
is it a little bit like?
That.
Yeah,
So Jack was reacting first to the elbow he got to the head that wasn't a penalty, and then the clutching and grabbing on the breakaway. He was just completely frustrated. Then he misses the open net. So out of pure frustration, he's chirping away that kind of shit. He's not wrong, and it's great. So I think it's fine. I think they're making a bigger deal than it needs to be. He is a little hot right now. I like when Jack gets hot, to be honest with you. He's going to calm down when he gets a little older, but he just said what he had to say, and this is somebody who went for his head, and he was pissed off.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's fine, but, I do think, Jack, that's not your game. You're not Scott Stevens going to the next to tell the whole bench you're next. Mm-hmm. Because when you do, you don't have that Scott Stevens follow through. You're not going to drop the mitts and have a big fight, and you're not a hitter. You do something totally different. And I think, Jack, your best bet is to not start mouthing and just go out there and score. I think he got in his own head. I mean, he was staring at mostly an open net. And I think that if he was a little more calm there, he would have put that in after the breakaway where, yes, they should have called the hooking, but he let the bad calls and the other players, I think, get in his head a little bit. And, look, I'm not too worried about it because he's amazing and he's allowed to, maybe not have one performance where he could have been at his best if he kept his cool, especially at his age. I think he's going to grow into this. He's going to be fine. I'm not worried about it. But, it could have gone better. I bet you he knows that himself. And hopefully this was a learning experience. Yeah.
I give him credit because he gets feisty, though. Like, he was ready. I think he was ready
to
fight the other night. I mean, this is the second time. What was it?
Definitely go at him.
He tackled a dude by the net. He's taking no shit. And, I mean, on this team, the problem is that we don't want people to go after him, because it's already a concern. But he's got balls, man, and I think he means it. I don't think it's a show.
No, I think he definitely has balls, and but I worry too. Like, you go and you're chirping left and right, you might piss other people off, and now they're going to maybe take a little bit more of a run. Well,
especially if it gets some results where you blow what is usually an easy goal for you. So if I'm the coach who's got to play the Devils next, dude, I want you to fucking get under Hughes' skin. He's got a thin skin. We can get him off his game. You don't want that to be the book on you.
Yeah, but Dan's right.
It was really the show that Hughes put on, which is ammo for the next team. That's the only thing I would say. Like, I like you fired up, dude. I like you fired up, but you still got to be under control.
Yep, keep your head in the game. It's especially that game. He scores that goal. We definitely get at least a point out of it.
That would have been a huge goal.
Yeah, and he just let his emotions get to him, and he was too fired up. And like you said, Dan, I agree. He's young. He'll grow into that. Now, the article I read, and it was from a Devil site, was basically just saying like how he was just chirping like, who the fuck are you?
Yeah.
That's not
arrogant.
what happened.
I didn't think so.
And if that's what happened, then I'd feel, okay, buddy, just pump the brakes a little bit, but yeah, he's right. He's out there to play. People are paying to see him, and it's a home game. They're coming to see the Devils, and you're out there trying to hurt people. That's a problem. Why he got called on that roughing is the other one that, like, really? The guy got an elbow across the head, and you're going to put him in there. And we've seen this.
Nico missing that goal last night too.
I just think he never
had a couple
wants to get a hat trick.
I think he knew that the Hats couldn't reach the ice from that area.
So he didn't want to waste everybody's time.
He didn't want to waste everyone's time.
Very nice of Nico.
Yeah,
he's a gentleman. Even though he said it was fucking
before
awesome.
You move on, Chris,
because
I know I missed the very beginning, so I didn't get to share my overall thoughts and just my pure
ahead.
excitement. If only I had a space where I could speak freely and people would listen, to talk about this game and how awesome it was. I thought everything about it was just fantastic, and this is one that, like, I'm gonna regret. In all seriousness, I don't know why I did not attend. And I'm driving to my dad, so I'm on the turnpike, and it starts hitting me like I'm literally taking the route that it would have taken to get there anyway. And I started thinking, and then I'm watching like these guys, like, they tailgated the tailgate. I'm like, this is like such shit I would do, just stupid, silly, fun shit. And they just look like they had a ball. And then even before the outcome of the game, I was just thinking how much being with, our people and our fans is what drives me. That's what I love so much about going up to the games and just being surrounded by everybody and like-minded. What happened last night it felt so good because it felt like for 3 hours or 8 hours, whatever. It wasn't just, hey, I'm a Fire Lindy guy and he's a Hall of Fame coach guy, and I'm a Brat guy and he's an overpaid guy. It was all that shit was gone. It was just for Devils fans tonight, and everything worked out so well. I really hope they bring it back sooner, because I think it was that good. But if ever I was going to have a regret, I think it's this one, man. I really felt like I should have been up there.
Go ahead, Chris. I'm excited. Got news for you. Next year, man, I'm excited for this global series, which I will be at. I'm going to, hopefully we can, like, broadcast from there, too, if I'm over there, because that I'm very excited about.
The Devils are opening up 2 games in Prague, in Czech against Buffalo.
What an awesome trip that would be.
I will be at both of them. Bobby, maybe you. I don't know.
I am Czech. We shall see.
Okay.
He will check.
I will check.
So, yeah, I mean, listen, we do have some predictions from this week: Kraken, Nashville Predators, the LA Kings, and last night's game. You know what? I'm just going to go through mine, and I said that Jack will lead both teams in points in the Stadium Series game. I was dead wrong. I didn't have Nate Bastian or Brendan Smith on my bingo card. The Devils will go 4-0 this week. That was close. Didn't happen. And I said Tatar would score against the Devils for Seattle. That didn't happen. Tony, you said the Devils will score 4 or more goals against Seattle. They scored 3. You said that Jack will score 2 goals exactly. That is correct. He did have 2 goals this week.
Nice.
you said that the Devils will be within 2 points of Philadelphia after this week, and the LA King game hurts. So then we'll go to Dan. So Tony got 1 point. Dan, you said that the Devils will go 500. You said they will have 2 or more wins, so you didn't say 2 exactly. 2 or more, you got it. There's a point for Dan. Dan said that the Devils will get a shutout. Man, they were close. Every game, it seems like they were like, first period now, we're locking it down. You said that the Devils will have a hat trick, and that was incorrect.
Oh, so close.
We'll
Thanks,
go to
Nico.
Bobby's. Bobby, you said that Timo Meyer will have 3 points or more this week. He did.
Yep.
That's a point for you. You said that Elias Pettersson will lead the league, will have 10 or more game-winning goals by the end of this week. He does not. He's still at 9, tied with Sam Reinhart for game-winning goals. And this one, I'm going to put up for discussion.
Okay, cool.
The Stadium Series game will have a fight. Now, there were scrums, but I do not think that those would constitute
Were there
a
5-minute
fight.
Fighting majors?
There was
assessed?
no majors. There were no blood.
I did agree.
During the game, Bobby. No.
Listen, I did agree that it would have to be a 5-minute fighting major. How cool that place would have blew up if it actually happened. So good prediction. However,
that was
I
a
didn't
good
see
bet,
this.
Bobby. It should have
This is how close it was. This is as close as Dan was to like the shutouts or the hat trick. At one point during the game, Amanda Stein posted that Smith was yelling to the other player by the bench and nearly came to blows, but Colin Miller jumped off the bench and pulled him back. Colin Miller, you cost me a point, dude.
Yeah,
Bobby, it happens
just
to
like
us all in the Seattle game.
Nico's point.
Trade him.
I had 4 points in the Seattle game. They took the goal away. We all had like little misses in this week.
Shit.
Except me. I guess I had them. I said they were going to go 4-0. If Jack would have maybe
close.
netted that one against the Kings,
Yeah.
they maybe get the overtime. And we all know what the Devils do to teams in overtime. So we do have this week's predictions. We'll do these real quick, and then we'll do a Devil You Know. And then I think, Dan, you have to split, right?
Yeah, I'm getting close.
All right, so we have this week, we have Washington. I don't know if these games are home or away. I know the Ranger game on Thursday is home. I'm not sure about the Capitals or the Habs. Bobby, are you checking that?
Yep, checking it right now. So we are away for the Capitals. We are home against the Rangers and the Habs. Yeah.
Okay, so we have Tuesday in Washington and then Thursday Rangers and Habs. Tony, we'll start with you. What's your first prediction, buddy?
I am going to predict a shutout. I feel it this week. I'm sorry, Dan. I'm taking this. I'm taking Devils will get a shutout because I just feel like Nico Daws is just getting closer and closer. I thought he was going to get it for you this week. I thought the stadium game, Dan. I thought you were going to get your shutout this week. I really did.
All right, Bobby, what's your first prediction?
Devils will score at least 7 goals during the week, 7 or more.
Altogether?
Okay.
Yeah, combined.
Okay, Dan, what's your first prediction?
Devils will get 3 points or more in this stretch.
Devils will get 3 out of 6?
Mm-hmm. 3 or more points.
Okay, 3 or more. See, I'm going to be a little bit more exact. I'm going to say that the Devils are going to get 5 points exactly this week out of a possible 6.
Nice.
I think that we're going to beat Washington. I think we're going to beat the Habs, and I think we're going to lose in a maybe shootout or overtime to the Rangers. So 5 points this week exactly.
Okay.
All right, Tony, your second prediction?
Devils win all 3.
I like it.
Yep.
All right,
And I
Bob.
feel confident about this.
No,
I mean,
I was going to go there too. But since I kind of picked up on Meyer getting his 3 and starting to get his feet moving, I think Bratt's about to start picking up his pace, get on an upswing. So I'm going to go with 2 power play goals from Bratt.
Ooh.
All right, I like that. All right, and Dan, your second prediction?
Well, this would steal Tony's. Nico Daws will have the Devils shutout.
Okay.
I think I said that too.
No, you didn't mention
You
Daws.
just said a shutout.
I said
So-
Nico Daws is due for the shutout,
Snookered,
didn't I,
but
Bob?
You
Bob?
didn't
actually-
put it in your prediction. You didn't
That's
put it
what
in your
I said.
prediction.
I said I'm going to pick a shutout because Nico Daws is due for a shutout. What does that mean?
Well,
I
you know
honestly
what?
don't. I just remember hearing that they were due, but I don't remember hearing Nico due. I'll just
Yeah,
be completely honest.
I definitely said Nico Daws is due because the way he's been playing.
There's got to be a way they can both have this because Dan's been
How
pulling
about we
for it
both
all
get it,
year, and we can't
I'll-
say other people
As soon
can't
as
say
I
you
get it,
a
it's
shutout.
like it's sudden death. I thought.
How about we go for the other points, Dan? What we'll score against that on that shutout?
Well,
Wait,
you
if
have
you
one
need
more
it-
bet to go, so you could re-up it there if you want.
My second prediction is that Jack Hughes will have 2 or more goals against the Rangers. Jack has been quiet since coming back. It's the Rangers.
He does well against
them.
Get
him up. Yeah. So Jack, 2 or more against the Rangers. That's my second. So Tony, your third and final prediction.
I'm gonna say
pick the game that they're gonna have the shutout against, and then
Washington.
All right, so do you want me to just add that to your first one, and then you pick another one? So you're going to say,
you could do that,
against the
I don't
Caps.
care if Dan gets it. I'll be happy for him because he's been saying it all year.
Okay,
I actually feel like it's possible now.
All right, so what's your third one?
There will be a hat trick for the Devils this week.
Okay, Bobby, your second or third and final prediction, sir.
Mercer will score a goal on Mercer Bobblehead Day, Saturday.
Mercer, a goal against the Habs, which you will be at.
I will be at.
I like
I'm a boy.
Dan, your third and final prediction.
I think Bastion's coming on, so he's going to find himself with 4 or more points at the end of this stretch.
Great, Nate, with 4 or more points. Huh?
As Nate goes, so do the Devils. Right now, we're going to win all 3.
That's
I might have to give Dan a hat trick for that one. I don't know.
I'm willing to do that.
4 points for Nate. That's a hat trick, sure.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Seriously, he's coming on.
Let's see.
And Chris, I think, your 5 points, if you make that your 5 points with that exact win-loss scenario, that might be 3 as well. Would you guys agree?
I'll give myself a hat trick for that one.
He's calling the 2 games and the overtime / shootout loss. I think that's
this is 5 points because you called.
I'm saying that they'll beat Washington, they'll beat the Habs, and maybe lose in overtime or shootout against the Rangers.
You're calling all 3 games. Yeah, definitely.
Can I change mine to that Dan's audio won't work this week?
Always going for the layup, dude.
This show will give me friggin' fits like the last one. I'm going to say that my third and final prediction is that there will be rumors by the end of the week of the Devils getting a defenseman that is not Tanev or Hannafin. There will be another named defenseman that gets brought up that the Devils are interested in.
Fair.
So, let me just write this out real quick.
Chris is going to put a rumor on the Uncle Puckers Instagram.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I don't think I have that much. I don't have that much pull, dude. Nobody's going to listen.
Named Chris. This is very strange.
He's saying that the Devils have no interest in Hannafin or Tanev. All right.
These guys don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
Exactly.
Shall we play a game? Shall we play a game?
Yes.
Buckle up, boys and girls. It is time for the Devil You Know on the Uncle Pucker New Jersey Devil Podcast.
All right, it's time for the Devil You Know. This is our fun game where today it'll be me. I will ask questions, give clues of a former New Jersey Devil. Bobby, Tony, and Dan have to answer. They get 3 incorrect before they are eliminated. And they can ask me any question that they want, and I can or cannot answer. It is completely up to me. Former Devil we know are Mikhail Maltsov, Paul Martin, Mike Dunham, Jason Arnott, Bryce Salvador, Nick Palmieri, and guys like that. So we'll go here. Tony's kicking our asses. I think he has 4 wins for his second season. So are you guys ready?
Yes.
Do it.
This former Devil was born May 26th, 1993 in Boston, Massachusetts.
Okay.
He stands 6'3" and weighs 207 pounds. He's played for 5 NHL teams.
Did you say where he's born? Where he's from?
Boston, Massachusetts.
He was born in Boston.
American, yes.
Okay.
He was drafted 66 overall in 2012
PK Subban?
by the Nashville Predators. PK Subban was born in 93, you think?
He ain't 6'3" either.
Yeah.
It's not PK Subban.
Yes. That's one wrong.
He played his collegiate hockey in Harvard, where he had 144 points, 80 goals, and 64 assists in 128 games. 1993. He won the Hobey Baker Award for the MVP in the collegiate level in 2016 where he beat out Kyle Connor and Thatcher Demko.
Did you give whether it was a forward or defenseman yet?
No, but he plays left wing.
Oh, okay.
I will tell you. On August 20th, 2016, he signed with the New York Rangers and scored his first NHL goal on October 17th, 2016.
Jimmy Vesey?
Against the San Jose Sharks. Jimmy Vesey
great.
is
Very
the
good.
answer.
Right when
Good
you said
job,
that,
Bobby.
Yeah, should have guessed that with that Ranger connection, right?
Yeah,
that's what got me.
Yeah, that was very good.
Nice job, Bobby.
There you go, Bobby.
That's cool. Jimmy Vesey. I owe him an apology. I remember that one day I was like, did he even do anything for us? And you guys were like, he was a great Devil for
Dude,
a
I
year.
love
He
Vesey,
was.
I just totally didn't remember what he did, and he was, yeah.
And he's
would've,
done really well for the Rangers. He really
He's a
has.
pain in the ass against us, too.
He really is. He plays extra good against us, like sometimes players do. And he seems like if anybody's going to put a hurting on the Devils in a game, it seems like it's Vesey, you know?
And I'll give an apology to a guy, too, that I saw last night, because I didn't like him as a player on the Devils, but I have to admit I've grown to like the man that I just said, Subban, as he's roots for the Devils, man. He is the Devils
Did you see
promoter.
him when he did the lineups? He
Yes.
came into the locker room and did the lineups. That was great.
It's awesome, you know?
Yeah, I like PK. I've always
too.
liked him.
He gets a lot of hate, I think, unjustifiably. He's just trying to have some fun out there. He always has as a player, and I think he's great for broadcasting. I mean, let's face it. He's paired with Messier a lot, who's like a fish. He's got no personality.
But I give Messier credit, though. He gave Nico some props last night.
He did. I'm just saying, as a broadcaster, if you had Messier and another guy with Messier's personality, that'd be the dullest fucking duo ever.
Yeah.
So
and you know what?
I appreciate what PK brings.
I know this is a real positive show because it should be, right? Because everything's just, if you're a Devils fan right now, this is a great day. But I don't know if you guys covered this, but like ESPN, seriously, they do not represent our game at all, man. They are terrible. The game deserved way better in the calling than what they were willing to offer. And you guys have even called me out to say, Bob, get over this one. And if I can't get over it, it's because the NHL can't get over it. Bringing up the Messier guarantee on Devils night is ridiculous. Let's call it what it is. No reference to the cups, no anything like just Messier took away one of our cups was fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, because they showed him with Namath, his Namath's number on the wall. We're talking.
It was such listening to, and I like Ray Ferrara for the most part.
He knows his stuff.
And McDonough, I guess, was the one calling the game. But
he's kind of like,
dude,
he's so lazy. He doesn't even know what he's talking about.
Game. I do not need to hear about Ray Ferraro's heated blanket he has on his toes. I don't need to hear about, everything else where they're going for dinner, all the other bullshit that they talk about. They missed so many really good scoring opportunities and goalie saves on both sides. It wasn't just that they just were
yapping
talking
about
over everything.
Horrible.
They went to Bettman at the worst times.
Oh my God, that interview was like, shut up. So much going on.
Boring interview.
I thought there was too much shit going on around the field,
they
around the rink.
Yeah, they're going to definitely overdo it, but
it's huge. I mean,
I didn't need Bettman on a bench. No thanks.
No, it was the most boring interview at the wrong time, man.
Yeah, seriously.
During the game, which is an important game, there's 70,000 people there, and we got to hear about how next year you're going to get 100,000 people in the Ohio State and the Horseshoe to go see Detroit and Columbus.
Right,
Columbus.
Which is if only if Detroit sends those fans down there.
Yeah, maybe. Columbus should not get one of these games. Columbus might. I'm at the point now where I think Columbus should probably not have a team in the NHL.
Read the room. That building, everything was so electric last night, and you're going to bring it all down, putting the commissioner on, talking all soft about some other teams. Get out of here.
ESPN does the worst job with NHL.
I'll always hate them. They left us for years because they didn't believe in hockey. I don't know why we're back. Obviously, it was the best deal the NHL got, but they suck. They ruined the game for me. I was bitching, actually, because remember I joked you guys on the text about just shut the fuck up, I want to be able to hear this, and I was obviously talking about my family. Well, they didn't, okay? I had a hard time hearing a lot of the game, but I think it was a blessing because what I did hear was just awful.
It was bad. And
awful.
That's all I thought about when watching that game was how great this game would have been with Kenny and Spalding calling it. Like, if we were able to hear them, it would have been so much better.
Emmerich.
But,
Yeah, Doc would have been great.
Now, did anyone else notice that Doc Emmerich is doing a voiceover in a Bayer aspirin commercial. I saw.
I did not notice this.
Ago. Yes.
Oh, I want to see that. Good for him.
It just does the voice. I'm like, I heard it. And I'm like, wait a second. I actually rewound it. I was like, that's Doc. And yeah, he was doing. It was for a Bayer commercial.
Some of those commercials, I like the Stamkos commercial at Hedman too. Did you guys see that one where Stamkos is with Hedman has his baby? Like
the baby.
That's an old one.
That's a great commercial. You know.
Did you guys like any Super Bowl commercials or no? I mean,
didn't pay attention to them.
Yeah, I was barely paying attention. I'm trying to remember. There's like one that had a question about, but I forget what it was. I don't know. What was your favorite?
I liked the Christopher Walken one. I
missed that. I would.
You didn't see that one?
No.
It's like a BMW commercial, and it starts off where he goes out to like the valet, and he's like, "Hey, that's some car," and Christopher Walken's like, tells him it's all electric, and the guy then does his Christopher Walken impression,
right.
And Walken, of course, isn't impressed, and it goes on like that, where his whole day, everyone he bumps into at the coffee shop or walking his dog, they all do a Christopher Walken impression, and the whole thing is,
I feel like.
And I love that commercial because I feel like that happens to him every time he goes anywhere.
I understand why it would. It's right. His impression is always in my head. I can't do it. But there's a moment that I think maybe I could do it because it's so clear in my head that
why don't you give it a try?
Speech pattern. Yeah, no, I fail all the time. I have to repeat a specific phrase after hearing him immediately, and that's passable. But to come up with that impression cold, I lack those skills.
Gotcha.
And I think most people do.
Yeah, I agree.
That's a funny commercial because a lot of people think
and you just know that people do it to him all the time. And the other one I kind of liked was the Arnold Schwarzenegger State Farm one was funny. Like a good neighbor. That one was funny. Only because Danny DeVito was brought in. But other than that, I thought the commercials were kind of blah.
I did like Danny DeVito's Jersey Mike's commercials. I mean, did you see that one where he's like, I don't know,
he's sniffing.
Which one? The disco one? Or
where he starts dancing and stuff.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it's so stupid. But it's Danny DeVito, so I love it.
Right.
I mean,
are you guys watching the game tonight? Anybody?
What, the Ranger game?
Ranger Islanders?
Yeah, I'll put it on. They delayed it, so I don't think it's starting until about 3:45 our time. Yeah, they were saying the glare on the ice was too bad, so they were waiting.
I almost wish they weren't doing it just because it's overcasting something that's still so fresh and raw and pure, and now they're just throwing the other thing. But I did see the way the Rangers walked up?
No.
Rangers walked up in their suits with, I think, the fire department or something, right? So a little respect to that.
That's cool.
That's great. And, of course, the Lou Lamoriello run Islanders, just their suits. There's just no fun, just right off the bus.
I thought they were all going to come out dressed like, Howard Stern or Billy Joel or somebody, from Long Island.
I'm surprised the Rangers didn't do a little more. I mean, listen, it was kind of douchey last night, but it was fun. They had fun with it. Everyone had fun with it.
I didn't mind.
They even came out and did their interviews and guinea teas. Yeah. I don't like the perpetual of the stereotype. We're not all Italians that live in New Jersey and all this, but I get why they picked the Sopranos.
But some of us are.
It was just fun.
And even the Italians don't act like that. So let's just start with that. Like, have you ever seen me or Dan wear gold chains? Or, I do wear, wife beaters once in a while, but, never with
we know those people are out there. I mean, we're in a certain part of the state.
Our area of the state was probably the only part that wasn't represented. Like, where was the beach? Jersey's got a huge coastline here. We all live on the beach. Where was the beach? I wanted to, they should have had Gary Bettman in a little pool or something, in a little inner tube. Maybe one of those swan pedal boats.
Gary Bettman's hairy nipples. No thanks.
Oh, yes, with no shirt. No, just a life vest on. That would have been it. In that freezing
Gary
cold.
Bettman's hairy nipples is a great name for the show.
He didn't get booed, though, did he? He didn't get booed last night. I've never seen Gary Bettman not get booed.
I don't know if they broadcast it to everybody.
I don't know if that one was throughout the entire place.
It definitely would have echoed there.
Yeah.
Like Nico's fucking awesome.
That's great.
That was awesome. I did think, though, like this game today, I kind of feel like it's the first time I could probably ever think that I could say this. Like, the Ranger game is an afterthought.
It's a second fiddle.
Like it was, they were second fiddle to us. And maybe they'll have more people there than we did, maybe whatever. But, like, I still feel like our game and our atmosphere, I don't know if they can match that.
When they plan these games, I thought when they plan these games that I understood why they did it because the Devils and the Rangers were the two better teams. And if you put them in one game, the other game truly is an afterthought, right?
Right.
And at first I was like, I'd rather play the Rangers, but I totally understood why they did it. And then our season kind of went upside down, and the Flyers season was upside down in a good way for them. So actually this worked out great. And yet, this is even better because the Devils were in the marquee game. And this is an afterthought.
And our game
Rangers
was basically
are a solid team, but still, come on.
An enormous home game with homage to New Jersey.
Yes.
And 2 New York teams are coming in. I don't know who's home and away. And they said they're going to be referencing kind of more of the football aspect of it, where ours was all about Jersey. And it was just everything about New Jersey, and the Devils was great. There were some Flyer fans there, but they were drowned out.
Yeah,
there was a lot.
I don't know if you were on when I said it before. I've never been more proud to be from Jersey than I was last night. Dan's got to bounce. Dan, we'll talk to you later, man. Have a good night. And
good luck with the operation, dude.
Yeah, good luck with that. I hope they can make your penis bigger.
They could definitely make your ass bigger.
If anybody was watching that game last night, then you know that hockey games move fast. But with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL, you can score faster than anything happening on the ice. And this week, like every week, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 instantly in bonus bets. I did not go on to DraftKings to get any odds. It says that I should mention that, so I will mention this. If you're interested in gambling, go to DraftKings and check the odds yourself. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code THPN. New customers bet $5 on the NHL and get $200 instantly in bonus bets only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code THPN. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction, void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See dkng.com/hockey for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources. NHL and the NHL Shield are registered trademarks of the National Hockey League. Copyright NHL 2023. All rights reserved.
Good job.
Yeah. So this is, a week that we got to step on the Washington Capitals on Monday, right? We got to take care of them. We don't want them to even get any kind of life and kind of keep them where they are. The Habs are the Habs. I mean, they're going to play you tough. Marty St-Louis has got this team, which is not a very good team, not a very talented team, but they play smart, good hockey. And they're very young. So that's a game that if you are sleepwalking through, you're going to lose. You got to play well. You got to be responsible because Montreal will make you pay. But, I mean, let's be realistic, and we'll talk more about it later on in the week. But the marquee matchup is Thursday night against the Rangers. I am so curious to see how this version of the Devils, how they've been playing post All-Star break, is going to match up against the Rangers because the Rangers are playing some ridiculously good hockey right now. What are you guys looking for? A little preview ahead to that Ranger game. What are you guys looking for from the Devils in that one, Bobby? What do you think?
Well, I agree. That is definitely the marquee game. That game carries the same amount of weight to me as the Philly game did moving into that one. It's not as much of a must win in that sense of chasing the point kind of thing, but that's a team we got to beat. The other two we should beat. Doesn't mean we're going to. Those are the two we should beat, and the Rangers are the team we have to beat. And the way they've been playing and the way they're getting a little bit better each day, I fully expect you're going to see something similar to the version of the team we saw last night. I think they're going to know how important it is, and I expect the Devils to be all over the Rangers.
And what about you, Tone?
It's going to be a nasty game. And I'm liking the way that, I saw it last night. Devils are getting nasty. They're getting a little more gritty. It's going to be a tough one, but I think we're going to beat them. I think this is the time. If we're going to excel and really go for a run, maybe win a couple games in a row, get a little streak going, now is the time. I think Brandon Smith's going to have a big game against the Rangers. I just hope we don't get any. Like I said, I'm a total Brandon Smith guy, but I hope we don't get any stupid penalties. That's something I worry about in those kind of games because shit's going to be all over the place a little bit. But I think the Devils are going to win this one.
There were a couple of things about Brandon Smith's game last night that I loved, and it was not just what he brought on the ice and the stuff we saw, that the goal, the assist, and all that. But he played to a line, and he didn't cross that line, and that's what you need from Brendan Smith. When he can
100%.
Just take it right up to that, get
Draw
under
penalties.
team skin, and just let them know that certain things will not be tolerated. That's when he's at his best, and he did it perfectly last night, and hopefully it can continue. He really has become that leader in the locker room that, you need. And, it's really becoming obvious now since he's come back from injury that this team does need him in this lineup. In the beginning of the year, maybe he was trying to do too much. Maybe it was the system. I don't know. But he was just taking stupid penalties and costing his team goals. And now he's really been solid. And I really do like that. And he did take it, like I said, to the line and not cross it. The Rangers are a very, very good team. And I think if you can knock Washington off, beat the Rangers, beat the Habs, go on a 4 in a row winning streak, that can be what turns the season around. Yeah. It really, if last night didn't bring this team together, then they're never going to be brought together.
I'll tell you.
You're
right. And first of all, on the Smith thing, I liking Smith way more than when I didn't like him. I really do, because I do love him as a player. In the beginning of the year, he was costing us games. All right, so we know that. It's not like we hated the man. We just hated the results. So I really love this version of him because he is a great teammate. Now, as far as the week, Tony, you had a prediction they were going to win all three. We're all kind of sensing this. I'm going to go a step further, and of course we'll get into this during the week. To what you just said, you rattle these off. Maybe you get these three. There's a very likely scenario here where I'm seeing 5 out of 6 wins, 4 out of 5. Because after this week, we got the Lightning, which is going to be tough, and then we got the Sharks, and then a couple-day break, and then the Ducks. Like if ever there was a time for 6 straight, or that would be 7 straight, or 6 out of 7, this is it. Not saying it's going to happen. Maybe an extra loss in there or an overtime loss in there, but this could really be the springboard, and last night should be it.
And it's an important time for us because there's only, how many games is there left? 30 games, 29 games, that's going to sneak up fast on you. And it's going to be, now you really have to win. And, going back to the Smith thing, I'm really impressed by him changing his total fucking game around halfway. Like he basically, I felt like he was getting criticized all over the place. I felt he said, this is what this team needs right now is for me to step up and be this guy. I need to be the guy that's up there. If someone gets hit and he's on the ice, he's right there. He totally took a season that some people didn't even want to see him in the lineup and flipped it around completely. And I was really impressed with that. Like he basically, we talked about this with Jim Dowd when Jim Dowd's playing career, actually, he figured out what he needed to be to fit onto this team. Right. And totally transformed into that. And I think I'm not saying he's not, he's going to get more penalties as long as you just don't get those really bad ones that cost the team the game. That's
so you're all in for keeping him as a forward if we get our defense healthy, right?
All year I've liked Smith. I have liked him all year. I'm really impressed with him now. Like I said, I've totally watched this guy fit the team's needs. And for me, he fitted a need that I've been bitching about since end of last year. I'm going to
go a step further. And if this particular person is not traded, which I still think he might be in the package, I think when we make the playoffs, mark it here today, when we make the playoffs, that Smith will basically be in over a Holtz. I can see Holtz not being on the playoff roster
for the benefit. Game last night.
They also didn't play much, 5 minutes.
Had a bad game, but that was
I could see playing other role players for that particular fourth line role, and that's whether Holtz is here or not. To be honest with you, that's how much I've come around to where Brendan Smith needs.
And
to be
I'm kind of, Bob, what you're saying makes a lot of sense. And if that is something that is a possibility, which it is a possibility, that then you got to trade Alex Holtz. Like you cannot have this guy sitting on the bench during a late playoff run or a late season run to get into the playoffs. You cannot have him sitting on the bench. Like
he's too valuable, and he is a good player. He just needs the right role, and we might not have that role.
No, and I don't think we do. And I think then you have to move on from him. And if you can keep that fourth line of Bastian and who else was on it? Smith, and who was the other? Nosek. And you can put that as your fourth line. I like that. And then you have a really good depth guy in Chris Tierney that can step in if you need him. I'm fine with that. But yeah, I just think if Holtz isn't going to happen now, and it hasn't, then I think you just got to move on.
I mean, in a perfect world for me, Holtz has a more significant role on this team. But given where we are is why I'm saying what I'm saying. And the fact that everybody knows, even if it's just a defenseman, forget the goaltender that we're going after. Let's say we switch that to a defenseman. Holtz is probably still the name they're calling on. No, it's just very likely he's the chip that a lot of teams want. So if we get the right return for it, and listen, if someone told me, you're going to lose Holtby, you're going to go to deep run because you got a solid fourth line. I mean, I got to go with the team victory, right?
At this point, go ahead, Tom.
Go ahead. Even last night, I wouldn't have been surprised. I don't know about how you guys felt, and I definitely agree. Nico, top of the tier last night, but going back to Smith, he might have been one of the most important players on that ice last night.
No doubt.
I mean,
no doubt.
Yeah.
And Jack was invisible last night.
But that's okay, right? It's going to happen.
This is one of the things that, when Tony, you and I were talking about this the other day when you were saying that they weren't a deep team, and I was pushing back against that. And I was saying, no, I think they are very deep. And you look at what happened last night, and this is what's going to happen in the playoffs, right? Teams are going to take your best players away. And this is where your depth's going to have to come in. Like, Jack is not, because of the way Jack plays, the style he plays, he's going to get his points in the playoffs, but he's not going to be as much of a difference maker as, I think a Nico Hischier will be. Because I think teams are going to say, if the Devils beat us, we can't let Jack beat us.
Sure.
And that's what the Flyers kind of mentality was yesterday. So when you can see guys like Bastian and Smith and the captain taking a bull by the horns and saying, are you going to take our best player away? You're going to take our superstar away. We're still going to beat you. And then it makes you think, oh shit, are we going to put our best players on the Nico line? Or are we going to put our best defensive pairings on against the Hughes line? And then if Timo Meier starts rolling,
is he still on the third line? Yeah.
Right. Then Timo, you got to start thinking, well, what about that third line? Because all three lines, if they're playing up to their capability, can completely take over a game. So it's one of those pick your poisons. Who are you going to shut down? So, Jack was shut down yesterday. Everyone else, I think
Jack got frustrated.
That's a team.
Because was the second period, Jack almost put that on the side of the net. I don't know if you guys remember, the net was kind of open. Mm-hmm. I think Jack kind of let it get to him. I thought, because, obviously, and I respect that Jack's going to want to – you're on the big stage. Last night is like the big deal for, everyone's watching. I think he started getting frustrated, and I think that because he missed that one, and I believe, if I remember correctly, even at the end of the game, there was a point where he could have scored a goal too. Holtz too almost had a goal, I think, off the top of the
late in the third. He got some garbage minutes late in that game, and they popped like maybe a minute and a half left. I think we were already up by 3. So he did get some garbage time, and he had a little opportunity. But I do remember a turnover in the offensive zone that he gave up. And that's the other thing. Like, we still have to get better at getting out of our own zone and all the other stuff. But, we played a team that really is a defensive-minded team. They wait for you to make their mistakes, and they capitalize. And the Devils handled it great last night. It was just start to finish. I mean, you couldn't be more prouder of these guys. They were the better team. And you couldn't be prouder of these guys. They went out there. They know they're underperforming this year. They know that the playoffs are not there yet, and they have to do a lot of work to get there. They didn't get discouraged. They didn't get frustrated. I came in to sit down and watch this game, and I looked over at my wife. I said, they lose this game, they're not making the playoffs. I'm telling you that right now. They win it, they're going to make it. And I still feel that way because I just think that the wild card, I don't care about the wild card. I don't want the wild card. Go get the 3rd seed. We're 5 points behind them now, right? And I think we have, 2 or 3 games in hand.
Should still have 2.
So we have the 2 games in hand, 5 points behind. You win those 2 games in hand, you're right there. By the end of this coming week, the Devils could be in the 3rd spot. And if you get there, stay there. I don't know what the Flyers' schedule is this week. Do you have that, Bobby?
I don't have the Flyer schedule yet, but let me just pull this up.
So what? The Rangers got 73 points. We're 69. The Carolina's 69. Philly's 65. Devils 60. Islanders 57.
So what's the Rangers?
Rangers are 73 points. They're at 54. They played 54 so far.
And we have how many 54 points?
We have 60.
So we are 13 points behind the Rangers?
Yeah.
Wow.
Jesus.
Mm-hmm. And the Rangers had a little skid a couple weeks. Yeah, we got 5 points behind Philly.
That's what you want to get. You want to get to the Flyers. You want to, and then we'll probably have to face Carolina in the first round.
Yeah, so I guess you root for the Rangers. I mean, you don't really root for the Rangers, but I guess tonight you would say to yourself, okay, we don't want the Islanders are 3 behind us.
At this point,
I guess
keep the Islanders as far back as possible. Sure. 100%. You're not going to catch the Rangers. Doesn't really matter what they do at this point.
No, you're right. You're right. Wow. So, all right, so we're going to be back on Tuesday, and we'll discuss the Washington game. I'm not sure if we're going to do pre or post game. We'll figure all that out. But is there anything else you guys want to touch on for tonight?
Talked about Stadium Series. We talked about glory holes. What else did we talk about? We talked about Devil You Know. We talked about everything, I think.
All right.
Jerseys.
So I think we're good. So we'll come back.
Sunday, Saturday show.
Yeah, exactly. Our weekend show with our predictions and stuff. So we'll be back this week. Most likely, definitely, I think we'll go after the Rangers game because that'll be fun to come on after that.
That's the Thursday, right?
So yeah. So maybe we'll do before the Washington game so Tony can pop on. Yes, Tony.
Chris, can I mention 2 things really fast?
Of course.
First of all, anybody who hasn't checked out our Instagram, please sign up for it. We're trying. I'll admit myself, I have not kept up with it. We're trying to get back on there. Me and Chris did an Instagram live the other day. We're going to try to be interactive on there once in a while. So, we're
going to do it again Tuesday before the Capitals game.
Tuesday before, and who was it? Tim Wood visited us. Tim Wood, thanks a lot, man. I know you support us, and it's awesome. But definitely, if people can go to the Instagram page, go to the YouTube page and subscribe too, because I guess that's a thing. If you could do that for us, we really appreciate that. And hey, check out the Tampa Morgue if you get a chance. My heavy metal show if you get bored.
Tampa Morgue is a lot of fun. Definitely check that out. And like Tone said, anywhere you're listening to us, drop us a line, a 5-star review, a positive comment, a download, a subscription. It really does help us promote the Uncle Puckers. So for Bobby, Tony, I am Chris, and we're the Uncle Puckers. We'll see you when we see you.
Peace.
Bye-bye. That was a very happy